Tony Kipkemboi, middle name ni Kiprotich. So original home ni Kaptagat. Kaptagat hapo Strobag, mostly you know that place. Originally from there. Currently, I'm in the US. I work as an AI engineer at a company called Guild, formerly Guild Education. And before that, I worked at Crew AI. If any of you have been building agents, you probably have heard about Crew AI. We are one of the first agentic platform companies for enterprises and individuals and open source as well. And I was there for about a year and 4 months since 2024. And we were working on bringing agents and making them production ready. Before that, I was at Snowflake. And at Snowflake, I was doing developer relations engineering for Streamlit. If you've used also Streamlit, you probably get some of the content you see out there in some of the docs is stuff that we're working on as well. And before that, I was at Booz Allen Hamilton. It's a consulting company. It does government consulting, to be specific. And I was a data engineer there. And before that, I was at Bloomberg. And I worked at Bloomberg in New York, mostly working in their enterprise data department. And the job was mostly finding or helping customers ingest most of their financial information and breaking news. So think of companies like hedge funds, wealthy individuals, and banks that are using some of this data for trading. So I was providing data to them and helping them troubleshoot some of the problems they had with ingesting real-time data. Before that, I was in the US Army for 7 years. I joined 2014. I got out in 2021. And when I was in the Army, I was working mostly in healthcare. So I did medical lab technology. I was trained as a medical lab technician. So then they take your blood, and then they do some tests back there. They send the results to the doctor. I was the one kind of doing that in the back end, drawing blood, just the human samples, and doing the analysis in the back, and then sending the results to the doctors. So I did that for 7 years, for 4 years, and then the last 3 years before I got out, I worked at the infectious disease research lab for the Army, and this was 2019, so right before COVID, and we were working on mostly infectious diseases, so HIV, Ebola, hemorrhagic fever, just name them. Any nasty thing you can think about out there, we were working on it, and mostly for defense mechanisms, so to help warfighters not get this diseases. So we're trying to create vaccines for cures for these diseases. And then COVID began, we switched everything to COVID, but then there's other things we had to do. Before joining the Army, Nilikujoku as a student athlete, to be specific, and maybe some of you are familiar with these programs. Watananza Kimbia after high school, they do the SATs, they get a scholarship in the US to come around, and that's how they pay for school. That's how I came to the US in 2012. And that's kind of my journey up to date now. So just wanted to give a quick brief overview. And with AI, I've started doing a lot of AI stuff since 2024. My undergraduate was in health sciences, so it's nothing related to AI. So nilijifunza most of the stuff in 2020 when I was getting out of the Army, 2020 to 2021. And then when I got out, before I got out, I started a master's at the University of Pennsylvania. I did 3 classes, and I decided to drop because I didn't feel like it was for me. I think class was going too slow for what I wanted to learn, so I dropped out and self-taught for the most part, and it's a good idea. Save some money in the process. But yeah, so that's it for me. Handing it back to the host to run the game of the show before we start.
Okay. Thanks for that. Actually, that's incredible. Yeah, that's a full CV. I don't know how many pages you can write that to. Yeah, but anyway, it's an incredible journey, an inspiring one. Just on a lighter note, do you still participate in athletics?
No. No, Skippy, but at this point, after Army, it messed up my knees, my back. I'm old dude now, you know. I'm not old, but after that, I decided to take a break. Because I've been making Kimbia since I was 19, man. Like nilikuwa Kenya, nilikuwa 19, nikaanza kukimbia, nikakuja huku kukimbia for college, and then I joined the army, nikazidi kukimbia when I was in the army for 7 years, and when I got out I was like, geez man, for once let me just take a break and not run, because running, sikuanza kukimbia kwa sababu I loved running, nilianza kukimbia because that's a way to get me, as a means to an end, and it was a good one. But yeah, it's easy maybe for physical fitness maybe, but I yeah, I don't do running as much, but I enjoy it. When I start running, I enjoy it. It's fun.
Oh yeah, that's actually nice. Okay, I'm now wondering, should I give it a try? And I see if I can end there.
Good.
But anyway,
I think you should.
athletics is
If
not easy.
anything, I encourage Kilam to do. No, I just encourage see there's other things you can do, right? But
Yeah,
I mean, I encourage everybody, do something that is really, really hard and outside your comfort zone at least once in your life or every time. Get able to do something that's way out of your comfort zone. Just try it. Give it a try. It will teach you a lot more about yourself than anything else. So I'm just gonna leave you that. It'll make you much stronger eventually, and it's good for your health too. So
yeah, sure. Actually, that's a powerful point. Getting out of the comfort zone is what usually brings the difference between successful people and those who are not successful. So, okay,
yeah.
tracing back, I can give a small story about myself concerning athletics. It has just popped in my mind. There was a time I was in, I believe it was class 7. So I decided to try athletics, the 1500 meters run. So actually, it was actually really tough, by the way. It was really tough. Even getting to sub-county level, it was like a struggle, you understand? Because, okay, I come from Nandi, and you understand most of the people there, they are much into athletics. And for men, there's usually this stiff competition that is there. So, it was really tiring. And it was just 1500 meters. I was now wondering how somebody can run 40 kilometers. The marathon. Okay. Yeah, but
Yeah,
aside from that,
you just have to be dedicated. Yeah, you have to be dedicated.
yeah, true. It's actually not easy. Yeah, but that's just the reality of life. Yeah, so before I proceed, I would like to just show us a small video. Then after that, I can say something small about the club. Then I'll give the speaker the chance to share what you have in store for us. I hope that's okay. Okay. So I hope it's visible. The speaker, you can confirm kindly.
Yep, all good.
Okay.
Every day, AI helps people with their personal lives, jobs, transportation, education, health, and more, maybe even without them realizing it. Here are some examples of AI in action on a typical day. In the morning, a teenager wakes up and uses facial recognition to unlock her phone. She scrolls through social media feeds to see what's new. Then, she asks the voice assistant on her phone what the weather is going to be like that day so she knows how to dress for school. A college student uses an app on his phone to deposit a birthday check from his grandmother. He takes a photo of the check, and the app automatically reads the handwriting to figure out the amount. It then deposits it into his account. Meanwhile, a younger student uses a different app that is teaching her a new language. The app listens to what she says and can recognize what she's saying even if she makes mistakes. The app then gives her personalized feedback on her pronunciation. At the same time, a person gets in their car to go to work, and the navigation system plans the fastest route based on current traffic. In the car, they listen to a music streaming service, which already knows what types of songs they like based on what they listened to before. When a factory worker arrives at her job, she sees that, as usual, humans and robots are both assembling cars. The robots do some of the more dangerous or repetitive tasks, like welding or painting. AI helps the robots recognize the tools they need to pick up or check parts to make sure they have been cut exactly right. When the cars are completed, computers help manage inventory and plan efficient shipping routes to deliver them around the world. Now, meet a farmer who's checking on her crops. She notices that some of her plants look unhealthy. She pulls out her smartphone and uses an app to take a photo of the leaves. The app can detect crop disease and also identify harmful insects. The app identifies the problem and recommends treatment. A surgeon is using AI to help make a medical diagnosis for a patient, and then a robot helps her perform a successful surgery. Afterwards, she goes to visit patients in a nursing home, where robots gently lift seniors in and out of bed and help them move around. In the meantime, a traveler needs to book a flight to another city. An automated customer service chatbot helps him book his ticket on the phone. Once he's on board, autopilot flies the plane for much of the flight. AI is even used in space. On the International Space Station, an astronaut talks to a free-floating robot that helps with chores and does jobs that are risky for humans. Now that you've learned about how other people use AI every day, think about how you use it. Spend a few minutes thinking about this question. What are 3 ways that you or someone you know uses AI? The video you just watched is part of a lesson that helps people learn about AI. To see the entire Discover AI in Daily Life lesson, visit the Applied Digital Skills website. The full lesson discusses
Hey, okay. I hope you've been able to watch the video. I hope the audio was audible. No? Okay. Thank you. So I'd like some of you to you can just lift your hand and say anything that you gathered from that video. Anything? Just raise your hand before I start choosing randomly. Yeah, I would like us to interact. Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Aha, yeah. Ronald, you can unmute.
Hey, yeah, I think I like the way it just explains how AI is useful to us, and like it makes a lot of things easier, especially those things that we take it for granted, and how it's just like reduced a lot of work for humans in terms of like for myself, like I use it for writing and all that. Like whenever I do, I'm a computer science student, so whenever I do like write some programs, I do try to use AI, not specifically just to write the full code, but just for efficiency, make the, like write a clean code, and yeah, it's pretty useful.
Okay. That's nice, Ronald. Thanks for that. Anyone else? Anyone? I need 2 more people. 2 more. 2 more.
Don't be shy. Come on.
Hi, Maclean. Can you hear me?
Also, come on video. If y'all don't mind, if y'all have the bandwidth to do it, then jump on video. We gotta know each other more.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Bildad. Can you hear me? Hi, Bildad. Okay, I don't know if you are able to hear me. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think we can just proceed. Okay. Tony, what did you get from the video? Can just share anything.
Yeah, for me, I mean, AI is everywhere. That's the main thing. Every part of your life you interact with every day, there's some form of AI under the hood that is doing work. Even if you, yeah, he's traveling, but even if you don't think about it, there's AI controlling some of the things. I think one of the things, for example, that maybe that's relevant. Most of you know SHA already, or to me, a SHA or somebody in your family is using SHA. There's a scoring algorithm within it as well that is used as an AI to score, how much you should pay based on different parameters that they've decided to pick. Your household income or specific things that they require. When you fill out the forms, that's how they use it to determine, do some calculations on the algorithm side to determine how much you have to pay for a shot. So that's an example of it. It's everywhere. So you just don't realize it sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. I believe the video was clear. Uh-huh. Okay, so just about the club, can mention because I'm certain that we have some attendees who are not aware of the club. They've just seen it somewhere and were interested in the session and they just attended. First of all, I thank you for that. So for this club, it's in full, it's Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Club, in short, ARC. And the club started being effective this year, January. Yeah, and it was recognized and approved, first of all, at the University of Eldoret here in Kenya last year, December. So it became effective this year, January. Our mission is to nurture students, professionals, just anyone interested in the fields of AI and robotics mostly, with skills in terms of the knowledge. Then we help you to be able to get out, transform the knowledge to real things. Yeah, real things in terms of projects here and there. Then after that, we like to, after gaining all those skills, we want to be the bridge between you and the market. So we would like to connect you to the job market as well, so as to make it easier, because nowadays job seeking is actually an issue. Yeah. So for the club, it can be relatively easy than uh, an individual person approaching employers. So that's why we decided to use this platform for that, so that to ease that burden that is usually there. So that's it about the club. So for the activities of the club, we have virtual webinars. So far, this is the fifth one. We've had 4 virtual webinars before. So this is the fifth one, but the first session as well in our new series, the AI webinar series. Then for physical events, we usually have physical events. At the moment, we've been able to do 2. Yeah, we've successfully been able to do two of them at the University of Eldoret. Yeah. Then other activities are like boot camps, of which we'll be having a boot camp in August, but I'll share more details soon. Yeah, but we'll be having a boot camp, most probably at the university here. Yeah, and later on, I'll just unveil more activities that we'll come to have. So that's just an overview about the club. Yeah. So I would like to give this opportunity to the speaker. to share what he has for us today. Yeah, so before he starts, I would like to tell you that kindly be attentive, hear what he has to say. Then, if you have questions, kindly we'll have a Q&A session before we end the webinar session. So prepare the questions. You can share them in the chat while he is continuing. Then if you like to talk, we'll give you a chance, yeah, at the end. Don't be shy. Let's be open, and that's how you learn more. Yeah, thank you. So the speaker, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you for the intro. So I'm gonna get started here. I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and then I'm gonna read out some of the stuff that. Let me see here. Share the window. Let's go. All right. Sorry, I have to reshare that. Stop sharing. All right. Cool. So that's. Let me know if you can see it. You should be able to see it.
Yeah, sure, we can see it.
If you can't see it, let me know.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. So a few just housekeeping stuff that I like to do when I do these presentations. Feel free to interrupt me at any point if you have questions. I am free flowing. I like to just kind of be in touch with the crowd. So if you have any questions somewhere in the middle, just raise your hand. I'm always happy to stop, answer questions, and then so don't wait until the end to ask your question. So you can ask in the middle. You can put it in the chat if you don't want to talk. I'll answer those as well. I'll give everybody breaks in between to make sure that you understood what we go over. But I'm also not a big slide person. I don't like doing slides. I like showing what things actually like practically. So I only have 3 slides. And the 3 slides are mostly, this is one just going to be the intro one, and then there's a second one that talks a bit about something else, and then the last one, and that's it. So if you want to take screenshots of them, this is the chance for you to do it. But after that, I'm just going to jump straight into the demos. I'm just going to walk you through, and then you ask questions from there. And I think I work best if you interact. If you ask questions, then I can dig even deeper on some of the things that you find interesting or you want to know about. But if you only depend on me to do this presentation, I can do it in 20 minutes and it's done, right? But then you will not have learned anything, so or at least anything important. So let's be interactive. I think that's the message here. So just to start off, we already know why we're here. We're here today to talk about just practical AI for everyone. And from that intro video that the host queued up, it showed you where AI touches as an example. There's so many different places, and as you said, it's everywhere. It touches your life on every different angle that you can think about. But for me today, I want to talk a bit about that, which is, what are these segments that AI touches, and then give you practical examples of them, and then actually show you how you can do some of these things, and then hopefully you can go away from this today. Maybe you open it, you open a new account, you start using some of these things tonight, right? So that's the idea here. So this is one of the important slides. If you want to take a screenshot of it, feel free to do that. But I'm going to go through 3 different prongs here. So there's the studies piece, like how can you use AI in your studies? How can you use it in your daily life? And then how can you use it for work? If you're somebody that's working right now and you're in this call, these might be some of the things that are useful for you. And then daily life is just everything that you do in your life, right? And then the studies piece is, it kind of cuts across. You can use these tools interchangeably anywhere around here, but I've just used these as examples of tools for each of these 3 different tracks. There's many other tools that I've left off. These are not all the AI tools that are out there right now, but there's so many of them. You can even build your own. That's how far we are right now with AI. And I think on our next session we might do something with building it in real time. Just to start off with AI, artificial intelligence. It's not like humans. It's good at doing things. It can execute specific things very, very well. But I see a lot of people failing in this because they offload the reasoning piece to the models. And the AI can reason, yes, given the context that you give it. You may tell it, I want to open a shop in Eldoret. in whatever street or Low Street or whatever street. I don't know if that's the street, but there's a street somewhere in Eldoret. I want to open a store there. Tell me if this is the right move or this is the wrong move. AI will reason. It will probably go to Google, look up Olo Street, look up what stores are around next to Olo Street, look at what business you're trying to come up with. If it's just a shop, what type of shop? Is it a textile shop? Is it I don't know. Is it a restaurant? Whatever shop you want to open, right? It will look at those things and try to reason. But it will reason from the perspective of like, this is the information I received from going and searching these websites, and then it will kind of give you ideas that kind of look like those ones that are there already in Eldoret, which is great, but it's not the best. If you want to stand out and you have a different angle and become a very profitable business, you want to give it all the context that you have from your mind. So then sometimes you come on to download your ideas from your brain into the thing and let it digest all that. But you have to have some taste. You can define taste as, this is how I want my store to look like. This is the branding that I want my store to have. This is the sign I want to be outside. It needs to look like this because this is how I want it to look like. My menus is gonna look like this. Everything. That is taste. That's what differentiates one store from another. So usually the stores, they look similar, right? But you taste me from Safaricom. This is how we need you to paint your shop. This is the logo it needs to look like. That is Safaricom's taste. So for you to stand out, you need to have your own taste. So you need to develop your own taste, and nobody can develop that for you better. And that's a whole different topic by itself, by the way. But just to go over this, we have NotebookLM. This is the first one right there. You can see what is NotebookLM. Let me go back. What is NotebookLM? If you haven't used NotebookLM, somebody has a question. Christopher, yes. Come on, dude. What's up? Christopher, you had a question. Was that right? Or was that somebody else?
Sorry, I lifted up my hand by mistake.
Oh, no worries. Okay, great. Ronald, do you have a question?
Oh yeah, just to go back to what you just said. So basically, Manisha, what you mean is it depends with the kind of prompt that you give it. Like it depends with the way you shape your prompt. So like the kind of feedback you're gonna get depends with the kind of prompt. Like let's say I write just a brief prompt, I will not expect to get the full detail, like a good result compared to if I design my prompt in a way that it's clear and has all the details. Is that what you were saying? Like, I don't know if you get
yes and no. Yeah, I get it. Yes and no. I think there was a time when prompting was like, if you've been in AI in a while, there was a point, and I think even these days, this is how you need to structure your prompt. I get that. I don't really buy into that anymore these days, unless you're doing stuff with images. If you're generating images, you need a structured prompt, because images still depend on like clarity. You want your camera to be the 200mm camera. It needs to be at this angle. It needs to do a dolly zoom. Some of these things that are production, because it learned from that. So if you specify these things, it will give you higher quality. Instead of Kuyambia, generate a picture of a politician wearing a mask or something. It'll just do random things, right? But if you want to control how our final out, if you have an image in your mind that you want to put it out, you want to use the right words. But if you come back to just like for daily use, right?
Okay.
For example, that example that I mentioned, that you want to build a company and open a store. The thing with that, it's not as much how you structure your prompt. It's a matter of how much information are you giving it. You need to give it all the information. For example, this store is going to be in a corner store, or is the middle shop, and then what products will you be selling in the store? So the more detail you go into, the better it's able to kind of give you a better answer. Instead of kuyambia tu, hey, store mahali hapa, and then it's going to be on this street, and that's it. You don't give it any other details. It will just be like, okay, I don't know, or whatever, right? And then it's just going to give you whatever. But the more details you give it to it, the more you can even give it examples of like stores that inspire you. Like, I love these stores, and I want to have a store like this, but then my product is this. It will use those as examples and imitate and kind of make it yours. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So these models are really good at. They're really good at extending it. I think the best way to think about it is, think of it as your co-founder or a co-worker. And they're very much capable if you just give him the right information. That's really it. But don't offload the reasoning piece to them and say, hey, you just go figure it out and come back to me. No, that's the wrong way to go. Because he'll go figure it out. It's going to read what other people have done. But do you just want to do what other people have done blindly? No. So that's just the way the mental mind you want to go with it to these models.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions, guys. So if you have questions in the middle, this is what I'm talking about. Just ask the questions. And let's continue. So there's NotebookLM. I'm going to show you what that looks like. There's Claude. This is made by Anthropic, and NotebookLM is made by Google. They created a way that it can help you, for example, do a lot of things. You can create slides. You can create lecture notes if you're in school. It can even create podcasts. You can create video overviews, tutorials. Like you can do a bunch of things. That was the fun part about NotebookLM. So come on, just take the textbook, upload it there, and tell it to teach you. It will do much better than the teacher. For those that are in school. And then there's Perplexity. Same flavor, just a different company. Perplexity does the same thing. You can do web searches. You can basically do everything that you need to do. Create slides. And by the way, these slides that you're looking at, I just generated it using Claude. You can see up there, claude.ai.slides, Claude design. And it's just following my branding, the way I like to brand things. And I just told it what to do, and it generated it. And I'll show you all the prompt that I used earlier to do that. But I don't write slides these days by hand. I don't create slides. If you got a point where I just give it the context, it builds it. It's better at it, so why should I do it at this point, right? The other thing, daily life, there's this chamgay.com. If you've seen it here, you're probably wondering, what is this? I've never heard of this. Well, y'all are in for a treat. I'll show y'all that after here in a second. This is a website that I built, and what it does is it's a front-facing product of a back-end model that I fine-tuned, I think 2 weeks ago, and I've been fine-tuning. I did the last one yesterday. So it's basically, I'm doing an effort of trying to add Kalenjin into AI, because Kalenjin is not mostly trained in any language models. If you ask any language model right now to just say stuff to you in Kalenjin or translate this from English to Kalenjin or this from that, it will just get it wrong because it's not trained, it's not part of the data set. But then a few weeks ago, I found some people in Kenya from universities, I think Maseno and Kabarak, had collected some data on Kalenjin and other tribes, by the way, which that recipe will be extendable to those tribes. And they collected a lot of data on people reading specific words in Kalenjin, and then they collected all that data. So you have the transcription version of Kalenjin written, and then somebody speaking it. So I just took that and trained it on a couple models that I fine-tuned the models, and that's just a different thing. And that was the product, and now people can go play around with that on that website as well. And we'll do a demo here in a sec. And then there's Gemini with images. So there's Nano Banana. If you've heard of Nano Banana, that's from Google, Gemini, and you can create images and all that. Same thing with ChatGPT. They now have images too, and you can create images from that, and they're really nice images too. And then there's WhatsApp. Of course, WhatsApp has an AI in there. Everything has an AI in it now these days. And then Claude, same thing from Anthropic. ChatGPT, same thing there for work. And then Cursor, if you're a developer, if you want to use Cursor. I don't use Cursor. I used to use it. I don't use Cursor anymore. I just use everything from the terminal. So my coding environment these days is terminal. I just do Claude or Cortex from ChatGPT, and then I just tell it what to do. And I can demo that if you all want to see it as well. But that's the biggest part of it. And then this goes back to what we were talking about here in a second, Ronald, and this is on the formula. So if you want to kind of stick to the formula of like how to design a prompt if you're just starting off, this is mostly for folks that are just starting off, and then eventually you kind of get better at it. You want to structure your prompt maybe this way. So act as, if you want the model to act as somebody, like an engineer, for example. If you want to build a website, you can tell it, act as an engineer, and your goal is to build me my personal website. And then these are the constraints that I want you to follow. These are the rules. The website has to look like this. There has to be this color. It has to have this branding. It has to say this and this and that. And then the input piece is just everything about you that you want to be on that website. And then you just tell it go, and it will go build it. That's the idea here. So if you're interested, take a screenshot of this, give it to your AI, tell it, yeah, can you read these rules and then implement to build my website and follow these instructions? And then you can even tell it, interview me on what you want to build, with what you need from me to build my website. And it will do an interview. It will ask you questions. And some of them might be very technical. Some of the ones that you think are very technical, you can tell it, decide for me. And it will decide for you based on what it knows is kind of the best, especially if it's too technical for you to decide. But that's mostly that piece. Now let's go to the demos. So I'll start with NotebookLM here. If you've never seen NotebookLM, this is NotebookLM from Google. It's notebooklm.google.com. If you come here, you can do a bunch of things. As you can see, I do have a bunch of things here from the past. And if I want to learn something, for example, OpenAI released this paper on how they scaled Postgres SQL database to power 800 million ChatGPT users. That's a lot of people. And I was like, okay, I want to read this. But then I just gave it the link to this blog that they have, and video. And
massive
let me know if you can hear it.
Globe. They're running database.
And that is the
In some of these people like posted, okay, this is where they generate. And you basically load any paper. Hata kama kuna kitabu ya shule, for example, you can load the entire book in there if it's in PDF format and you have saved it somewhere. You can load the entire PDF in here and tell it what you want it to do. For example, you wanted to create a slide deck of that, you can tell it to create a slide deck. If you wanted to create a video overview, you can tell it to create a video overview. And then there's also like a mind map, there's flashcards, if you want to generate flashcards, infographic, a quiz, that's another cool. And if you wanted to create a quiz for you, you can create a quiz or a data table from whatever you put it in. But there's so many interesting things you can do there. So here there's video overview, you can add an extra explanation. This is where your prompt, for example, you can say, I want this to be, cinematic. I want this to explain to me like I am 10 years old, and then tell it to generate, for example. And this is going to take a while because it's going to have to create a video, and this will take a while. So it's going to create a video, and it's going to be a tutorial teaching you like a 10-year-old, like it's teaching a 10-year-old how OpenAI scaled Postgres SQL to 800 million ChatGPT users. So this is very important for learning. So kama kuna concepts inakusumbua, unafeel kama uelewi, load it in there, give it the links, give it everything. And sometimes you can even tell it to go do the search for you on the web if you don't know the sources. So for example, here you can tell it do fast research or deep research, and then you give the topic what you want it to go research, for example, Postgres, and Postgres SQL, and it's gonna go do research about Postgres SQL. It's gonna go search the web. You're gonna search all the videos, YouTube videos. It's gonna watch everything and then condense all that information into something that you can create artifacts out of. And these artifacts are things like video overview, podcasts, or actual video tutorials, or these reports. So that is on the NotebookLM piece. And you can create slides as well. So you can create a slide deck that you can use it somewhere else. And maybe I should show an example of that here as well. I think I might have deleted one. So I gave a talk at Harvard in March, and I ended up having NotebookLM do the research. I know what I wanted to talk about. And specifically, and this is where like you cannot flow the full thinking to the model. You have to have taste, and you have to know what is right, what is wrong. But I basically came in and told it to go do the research for me, create an initial slide deck, and then I just reviewed the slide deck, and I was like, okay, this is wrong. And I went and refixed it myself. But for the most part, everything was there that I wanted to talk about. And this is the idea of where things are going with AI. You just kind of offload the research for it, because it can do much better research than you. You have to open several pages and read them individually. That will take you hours. But it can read these pages in seconds, and it can do like 100 pages at a given time and give you much richer answers. Now, let's switch gears. While that one is running, we have Claude here. I don't know, how many of you use Claude? By show of hands or by show of thumbs? All right, so a couple of you use Claude. Great, awesome. So Claude, on the other part, is from Anthropic. And first, I'm going to pause there. Anybody has any questions up to this point on NotebookLM before I move over? No questions. All right. I'm assuming that landed. So let's continue. So NotebookLM, what is not Claude? Claude is by Anthropic. Anthropic is one of the big labs. I think the three big labs right now is OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google Gemini right now, or DeepMind, Google DeepMind. So those are the three biggest labs right now. You can argue xAI, which is now part of SpaceX, is kind of the fourth one there. And then there's some open source ones like Mistral and some other new ones, some new labs that are popping up right now from different folks. So the interesting piece is all of them have a similar product in a sense. So this, what you're looking at with Claude, is pretty much similar to ChatGPT here from OpenAI. So this is from OpenAI, this is from Anthropic. They have pretty much almost similar things, but with slight variations. This is where taste comes in, right? So they have their own taste, and ChatGPT has their own taste, but they essentially help you do the same thing, but with all of them having their own models that they've kind of fine-tuned and trained and post-trained and fine-tuned it for themselves. So with Claude, you can do a bunch of things with Claude. It can help you with basically anything. For me, I used to have this piece. I don't use it as much anymore, but it used to generate LinkedIn posts for me. So it had the instructions here of how I write, for example. So instructions, you're my LinkedIn guru, you help me master the strategies that truly move the needle on LinkedIn. I have added knowledge docs. So these are the knowledge docs of what I've written before and what I wanted to follow. And these are the instructions I'm giving it. And then there's a memory here as well. So your purpose and context is focus. Purpose and context story is focused cutting through AI industry hype and grounded decisions. So this is basically telling it, hey, I want you to remember everything that we chat over time as well. And then here, every time I want to create a post, I come here, I just create a new post. It already pulls my memories, it pulls the instructions, it pulls the how I write in a sense, and then just drafts the messages for me. So this was from 11 months ago. For example, I used to work at Crew AI, and I wanted to create we had kind of cut a release for Crew AI version 0.126. And I wanted to create a LinkedIn post about that. And here, it suggested this. Of course, this is the first draft, and then I ended up editing it a little bit and then posting it. And most of them did pretty good. And this looks like my voice. I write in lowercase on LinkedIn. Everything is lowercase that I write, except if it's a noun. But pretty much I write everything in lowercase. And that's just my style. But if you come here again, you can do a bunch of things. So if you want to get started with Claude, and I think the best way to maximize this is connectors. So if you just want to repeat it again, if you missed that, if you come here, you'll see the customize, or you can come here to your name, click on it, and then go to settings, and then go to settings, and you go to connectors, and then from connectors you can customize, which it told you move to customize. If you click on customize, it's going to move you to customize. The biggest thing you can do for yourself is come to the connectors tab and pick the tools that you use a lot. For example, if you use, of course, you send emails a lot, pick email, connect your Gmail to the model. If you connect it to your Gmail to the model, then if you ask it, hey, how many emails did I receive yesterday? It's able to do the math itself. Yesterday, what is today first, and then go back to yesterday. And then it's going to call this connector to Gmail, which is a tool essentially. So if you think about it, and I'm going to pull back a little bit here. So the model is the LLM that was trained by Anthropic in this case, which is the Claude model. And so it was already trained with a specific amount of information, and maybe the cutoff for the training data was maybe everything from beginning of time to 2025, when that's the amount of data that was used, and it was trained that model. Anything past 2025, it does not know, because it wasn't trained into the model. So how do you know, or how does it know to use the new information, right? You have to provide that data to the model so it can consume it and give you an answer. And this is where tools come in. So how does it connect to the data? You have to build a tool. I remember back in the day, well, about 2 years ago, we used to write these tools by hand. They used to be just Python functions that you write and call the API directly, which we're still going to do that right now. But they've been abstracted away now by MCPs. So if you're not familiar with MCP, it's Model Context Protocol. So there's a model, which is, in this case, is Claude or Anthropic's models or ChatGPT models or any other model out there. There's a model, and then the context piece is the model needs context or what's new that it wasn't trained into the model. And then that protocol is what connects the two. So MCP in itself is what connects models to the data. So if you need data from your CRM, for example, something like Salesforce or any other, your Google Gmail, your Google Calendar, for example, It has to connect to your calendar to pull what's recent, what was booked, what meetings you have today, for example. It has to pull that data and then look at the data and then give you the answers, right? So, or take any actions as well. So that's the concept here. If you're trying to understand how that works. So on the connector side, you want to connect to the tools that you use frequently. So come on to me, Gmail, I'm going to me Google Calendar a lot, or any other tools out there. And you can build your own tools as well. So if you come here to add button, you can add you can browse some of the connectors that other people have built, and you can add directly there. So I think maybe one that most people might be using is WhatsApp. There's no WhatsApp, so you can build your own there. You can build your own MCP, and there's some out there as well that are popular. But you can, or if you use Notion or any of the other ones, you can connect them directly. But if you scroll through here, you'll find there's a lot that have already been built by those companies, and then you can build your own as well and just bring it in here. So that's the most important piece there on connector. So once you connect it, you can make it work for you. You know, you can let it pull emails, you can let it draft emails for you, and then you can send it. So that's really cool things to do. Or if you use Canva, you can use it to design stuff for you. So if you have a birthday or you have a party coming up, you can just hook up Canva and tell it, hey, I have a party coming up on Tuesday, this date. I want to invite this many people. It's going to be about this and this. And this is extra information about it that, you know, you provided all the context, right? All the information that you want to provide, and tell it. Use the Canva connector or Canva MCP to create the announcement ban or the pamphlet for me, and it's going to generate a pamphlet, examples of it, and then you can decide which one, and then you polish it a little bit, and it's ready to go. So that's where we are right now. And then there's this skills. So skills is a concept that is maybe new to most people, but if you do something repeatedly, for example, say come out there with your slides that I just talked about, right? Maybe you make slides for your company or for school, and they all look the same, pretty much, like the branding and everything. If you do it every time, if you find yourself doing something every time, when it will be the same process every day, now maybe you're chatting with the agent, it's helping you, the model is helping you do the thing, but you're just repeating it every time, you can convert that to a skill. Skill and become a recipe, for example. Same with a cake. There's a recipe for making different types of cakes. Maybe you have ingredients, how to mix them together, and then how to put them in the stove, how long you should wait for it, how do you verify that it's cooked and ready, and then how do you serve it, for example. That is a whole recipe of how to do something step by step. Same thing with the models. So you do a process every time repeatedly. No, is like a verified step of how you do it each time to the point where you get a good quality outcome. You can capture all that in the document, and it's mostly just text. This is it. This is the document, and here's how it looks like in code. So you have a name, which is what the name of the skill is, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So this is the name of the skill. For me, this is a screenshot cleanup, because sometimes for me, I had to create one because sometimes when I'm creating tutorials or when I'm doing stuff, I take screenshot of pages or specific tools, and the automatic place that I have for me to save is my desktop. So I save on the desktop. By the end of the week, maybe I have like 10, 20 of them on there. So I created a skill that every Friday at 5, it would just wake up by itself. It would go look at my desktop and look and see, okay, what are all these screenshots here? And then it's going to look at the screenshot, understand what's going on in the screenshot, rename the screenshot to match what's exactly in the screenshot. And then if it doesn't match the criteria of like, this is a tutorial, it just deletes it automatically. If it doesn't, if it's conflicted, it's something important that I still need to use, it saves, it creates, there's a folder that I created, it just puts everything in there, the rest of it. And when I come back on Monday or even Saturday, I come to a fresh, new, clean desktop. There's no images. So that's the idea of this. So you see how you can automate something simple like that with AI like this. And it does pretty good. But basically, on this recipe that you give it, which is a skill, you want to be very particular of what you want. So I told it, it's a screenshot cleanup, and the description, organize and clean up loose screenshot files from the desktop. Use when a user asks to clean up and do all this and that. And then there's a screenshot cleanup, organize loose screenshots on the user's desktop by renaming them descriptively and moving them to a categorized deletion folder. So that's all it's doing. And I've given it all the folders that I wanted to add into, and then subfolder rules I wanted to obey, and then the naming guidelines of how I wanted to name the files. For example, use the kebab case, be descriptive but concise, and then I've given it examples. If the image that it's looking at, it's it's a TikTok comment thread, business ideas, or if it's a Google Doc meeting notes or blue green background, that's how you should name it. It looks at it, understands what's going on in the picture, and then names it itself the way it thinks is the best way to describe that picture. So that's an example of a skill. So, and you can schedule these skills. And what I was talking about, I have it scheduled to run every Friday, I believe. So if you come here, let's see, where's that? Oh, that's on my desktop. Sorry, this is on the desktop. You can schedule that through Cowork. This is on my my browser right now. But let's see if I can open this. Y'all probably will not be able to see that one. But yeah, it's not going to show up because I'm not sharing it. But that's really it from the Claude side. If you have a question about Claude, best time to ask is right now. Let me know before I move over to ChatGPT, and then we finish with Changay, and then we're done. So let me know. You have any questions about where we are right now first? Or we're good. I just keep rolling. Thumbs up if you just want to keep rolling. All right, fantastic. All right, this is not going to be any different. ChatGPT is exactly the same thing. No difference. The only difference with ChatGPT is I have a sick image generator. So, and we're going to generate a few of them here. So you can generate images with the. I'm going to take some ideas from you all in the chat. Just paste a certain image that we want to generate. Just give me a prompt. What image do you want me to generate? Just give me an idea. Top 3, get it. Get their prompts generated. If you have some ideas of stuff that I've generated before, for my projects, there's this one. Let's see, where's that? There's a few that I've generated in the past year. This was for a blog that I was working on. For the model that I trained, it generated this image that I used in my blog. And then I asked it to generate swag for this fictitious product that I was working on. I mean, this looks pretty decent, if you ask me. If this was part of the swag, I probably would use it. This fanny pack, some hats. I think they look pretty good. The namings might not be what I want, but you see the idea, right? You see the idea where this is going. You can generate some really good stuff with it to begin with. And there's this as well. And the branding. Let's see. I've shown you all that again. So let me come here. So this is, I'm just going to show you what stuff that I was working on. So let's see. This is just for a podcast that I'm running. That was terrible. I didn't like that. There's this other one I posted on Facebook, if somebody has seen it. So this is, trying to prank people, right? Told them, hey, Haaland, if y'all follow soccer, Haaland has moved to, signed with Manchester United. And some people believe it. But this is the thing, right? This is where we are. You can generate images look like this. Yeah, I know it's funny. Yeah, you can some people are like, "Whoa, what? Like, is he actually moving to United?" Right? But this is where we are. You can generate things like this that look very realistic, and this is it's just crazy. And the prompt that I use is very simple. Is this: create a poster, a design of Erling Haaland signing for Manchester United, senior graphic design level, 2025-2026 kit, Manchester United kit. Use actual Manchester United brand and design elements, 4:5 ratio, and then mobile wallpaper. And that was it. So if you want, we can change it here to somebody else's name. Let's put somebody funny. Let's see. I don't know if you're allowed to do anybody else. Who do you want to do? Tell me somebody that you guys want me to change the name to. It could be a popular person, it could be a politician, it could be whatever. I don't care. Just put it in the chat.
You can try with Joe Pedro.
Joao Pedro. All right, that's gonna take a minute. Hey, Baru some ideas from you guys on the chat. Just say something random. It could be 2 sentences, just an idea, and I'll try to extrapolate it. I told you this was supposed to be fun. The purpose of this is really for learning. So that's the idea. Nothing scary. I took a class. This is not graded. Like, this is just to have fun and see what's out there, and things that you could build as well. So this is the perfect time also to say this is a good time to build a startup, and also the worst time to build a startup. But I think Kamoko US mostly the market is you get cornered real quick. If you build something, you have to build it and sell it immediately, or like make some profit real quickly, because it's easy for other people to copy right now and build something similar real fast. For example, for me, I have agents running in the background. Like, I have work going on, but I'm not at work right now. I'm talking here, but it's there. It's running. It's doing work for me while I'm here talking about this. Yeah, there you go, Joao Pedro. I mean, dude, that looks real if you ask me. There you go. I mean, that looks pretty real to me. If you want, I can download and send it to you as well. So yeah, if you're thinking about having an image, I can download and send it to anybody if you're interested in it. But there's some other examples I can show before I move to some of them. Create a monkey in a futuristic world with a hip hop swag, surreal style. Bam. Why not? Let's do it. All right, let's come here and create a new image. And then we'll just let it, let me just do 16 by 9, and let's just generate it. That's going to take a moment. Let's see, there was something else that I generated not so long ago. Yeah, most of this stuff I generate for stuff that I post. For example, this, it can generate graphs. So if you're in research, it can help you plot better graphs and create better graphs than what you do. And then some of this for landing pages. So if you have an idea of what you want to build, like for example, a website, and you're thinking of, Unta will come up with ideas of how you want it to look like. You can just give it the idea, and it will generate it for you. So you can have an idea of how that's going to look like. But I do have a lot here that I've created in the past that were pretty decent. That's going to take a second to load. They're overwhelmed. So this is one of the ones I created. I uploaded 3 pictures of myself up there, and I told it to generate a design, like a look for me here. And it did generate some decent stuff here that I was able to. I mean, this is okay. It doesn't look fully like me, but it's close enough. It doesn't really do good with black people faces. That's one thing for sure. But that's the idea. Like, give me ideas of what I want to wear for summer or a given time period, right? So I think I finished our monkey here. All right, there you go. Who was that from? Dennis. There you go. It's a monkey, man. That is super futuristic. I don't know why it has all these Indian gods up there, but it looks fun, dude. It's super swagged out. All right. The next one is from McCreen, a young adult woman of black ethnicity, early 20s, is positioned on the left side of the frame with a long wavy hair and brown eyes. All right. Let's see what it can think about. You didn't give it enough context to know exactly what to do with it, but I'm guessing this is like a street vibe. I'm thinking that's probably what it's gonna do. But anyways, let's see what it comes up with. All right, let's see. All right. There is your image, Macreen. And the other cool thing as well with this, what you can do with it as well is you can upload a picture of yourself and tell it to do something, edit your picture in a certain way, and it will edit your picture in a certain way, or put you in a certain location, and it will do that too. So there's a lot of good things you can do with it. Let's see. And then there was some that I was playing around with. Like if I was going to design a menu, oh, exactly how you want it. Great, that's nice. So there's this. If I come on, like I own a kibanda mahali or I own a restaurant mahali, like I can just use this to generate the menu. It's much better than just kind of the menu that I'll come up with. Yeah, so you need chapati mairo, yamta. It has some words coming here, yamta. Like okay, great. Like, but I don't need that. Just chapati mairo would have been great. But it gives you an idea of what I want to create, right? You can tell. Hey, you can select a piece and say, and here you can do like a lasso and like lasso it out and say remove this. In the text here, you can describe the edit and tell it remove that or position this certain way. Kama simple by Safi, like what the hell is that? So take that out. Like for example, yeah, I can tell it take out those highlighted sections, and it will just kind of fix that for you. And then over time, you just have a better image at the end of the day. So this is an example of what you can do today. So come on, when there's a content, like there's no reason why you should make mediocre quality products anymore these days. Like there's absolutely no reason other than you don't have money to subscribe to these features. That's the only acceptable reason. The rest of it is like these things are much more powerful now. They can do a lot of things for you. That's just the idea that I'm putting it out there. And to close it off, if anybody asks any questions, just let me know. Or if you still have your prompt, feel free to put it still in the chat. But I'm going to switch to the Chumgay app, and then we're just going to go over that real quickly, and then we will go to Q&A section after that. But maybe we wait for this one to finish to show the highlights. Let's see how it edited it out, because I'm interested as well. Because think about it. Unaweza biashara leo hapo tao useme uende kwa restaurant ndio waambie nataka improve your menus. For some of them, just take pictures of their menus. Now you can upload the menu here and tell it, make this menu much better. No, put the name of the restaurant, the bigger the picture or something, and then you just come up with ideas, tell it to make you a much better menu with like picture of how the food would look like in a sense, in like for example this one, and then just take it to them. You're like, dude, I think this menu is better than Kenyuko. How much are you willing to pay for it if I make like I don't know 50 of this or 20 of this, and they might be willing to pay, they might not be willing to pay, but those are just ideas, right? There's so many things you can do for this example. And if you can every restaurant up with how, I mean, word spreads real quickly too, like if you can do that. So it still ignored some of the stuff, but it took out this one. Maybe you just didn't see that one. But like that's the idea, right? So see, you can continue editing and make it much better. So that's a just simple idea of how to do that. And I think somebody had another prompt here. So Ronald, let's try cinematic. All right. Let me start here. A cinematic, hyper-realistic portrait of Arteta, set it in Emirates, a dramatic. Okay, great. This is going to be a funny one. I can tell already. So let's do this. Let's also just do 16 by 9. Let's do extended thinking, so you can think about it a little more. But while that is rolling, let's go back to Chumgay. So introducing to you Chumgay Labs. This is something that I'm working on part-time on weekends. So I started fine-tuning models. And so what is fine-tuning? So when you get the regular models from coming in to me, those are fine-tuned. They collected the data, they trained the models from scratch from this big lab. They used a lot of money, millions and millions of money to do that. So they did that. Well, there's another aspect to it. If a model, some companies also like Meta and some other ones, Mistral, they've trained some of these models and they've open sourced the weights. These are the parts of the models that were trained to do the inference piece. And so these models are available as open source. So you can do stuff to it. You can fine tune it to match what you want. For example, you can fine tune it with your own data and make it do stuff that you want. Or if you don't want to fine tune the base model is what the weights, original weights, you can mix those with your data now so that it understands it. But another simpler way you can do this and efficiently and cheaper is training what is called a low rank adapter. It's basically an adapter that sits on top of the other model, but also benefits from the training that was done on the other model. So, for example, I think a good example that I like to use here is open a textbook, Yashila, right? Open all the information that you need to learn the thing. That's the canonical. Maybe it's a computer science book or a science, physics, to me at high school, science book or biology book, right? So it has all the information that you need to read to do something and to answer questions in the exam. Well, let's say on page Flani, or just the entire book, there's all that information is important. But maybe you just want to add like an extra notes, your own personal notes to say, this is the extra information that will help me do even understand the context much better. But I don't want to train these new notes into the book. I want to just add it as an extra thing somebody can read, and then they can go deeper and read the main stuff if they want to. So you write the notes on a sticky note, for example, and then you stick the sticky note on top of the book. So if I want to understand what's in the book, I can do like a quick read on the sticky note. And then if I want to dig deeper, I can go in the textbook and read it as well. So that's exactly what's happening. So we're training the sticky note, which then we just inject into the main book, and then we just kind of use them correctly. So we're training a few of the weights of the model, and then using that and then freezing the rest of the book. You freeze the book, you train the other top piece, and then you combine them, and then you have a lower rank adapter. So what I did was, I was doing some experiments, first of all. I don't know how many of you know this model, this company called WhisperFlow, WISRP. Let me just come here and find it. That's WhisperFlow. This company, WhisperFlow. So this company, what they offer is, you essentially, they have an app, you speak to it, you turn it on, you speak to it, and instead of typing, you speak, and when you're done speaking, you put the cursor somewhere where you want that text. It listens to what you say, and then it transcribes it and just puts the text there. So instead of typing your words you want to think about, you just speak to it, it then takes those words and just throws it there. That's all it does, transcription. So I figured, well, English, but of course I couldn't have languages. Most of the other languages, they're sparse. So I was like, can I do one for Kalenjin? Because, of course, I'm Kalenjin first. So I was like, I'm sure there's no Kalenjin one out there. Let me create one. I went and found the data, which is what I was talking about from Maseno and Cabra. And I did a training on it, and I was able to get it to get to a point where I can speak Kalenjin to it, and it will print out Kalenjin on the screen. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I was like, well, can I then find data that I can convert? Somebody can speak Kalenjin, and then it converts it to Swahili. And then maybe I can do Swahili to English in that loop. And then I can do maybe English to Swahili, and then Swahili to Kalenjin again. And I fine-tuned 3 different models, and I stitched them together in Cascade, and it works. And if you come to this website, which is called chamgay.com, you can play with it. So, for example, here I have a Kalenjin word, that Yamune, which is just how are you, and then maybe I want to translate to Swahili. So if I hit translate here in real time, it's going to run. And what's happening here is just taking the Kalenjin word and translating that to Swahili, and then it's going to print out the Swahili word here. So that's just, and there's so many use cases for this, right? You can think about it like for most of the languages, low resource languages in Kenya, not all over the world, most of these languages, they're going to be endangered eventually. Like the people that speak it is reducing. For example, for me, my younger brothers, they don't speak. They understand a little bit, but they don't speak. So the new generations are not, from what I can tell, most of them are not speaking unless they grew up in the Ushago, right? So, and this probably applies to all the other languages as well in Kenya. So having a system where people can learn, or they can use it to communicate with when they go Ushago, I think might be useful here. So this is just an example of that. But I'm doing this open source, nothing is paid. I'm just experimenting. And so this is some of the things that I'm playing around with. So here, Yamune to Bariaka, that's correct. And then there's also, you can speak to it, of course. You can just turn on the speaker. Wamune Big Tugul. For example, that I just said, how are you, everybody? So it should translate that. And the idea is not, I think for this one, it's just going to translate it to Kalenjin. It's going to output Kalenjin directly. And so this is the one that you speak Kalenjin and it writes Kalenjin. And I recorded a video and shared it recently. But what I learned from this process as well was that some of these languages, you might know how to speak it, but you might not know how to read it. As funny as that sounds. But also, you can read it, but it's very weird because the words are not standard. Sikama English, this is how you read the words. It's very, you can write same word in different ways. You can say it in different ways. Because if you think about it, we have the main tribes and then we have sub-tribes within it, and those sub-tribes say things very differently, and the data is not all that well trained into the model or available. So those are some challenges that you will run into when you start using this and you notice, oh, it's getting some of the things right, some of the things wrong. So this one got it right, almost. But see what I'm talking about? It should have said O-A-M. You should have an O. That's what I'm thinking. But if you say Wamune, that still sounds correct. Like, who's to say that that's wrong, right? And this is the little nuances between the different tribes and how the people write it. And there's no textbook to say this is how you write grammar in college. This is how you write grammar in a certain language. So people will come. The thing is, if it sounds right and looks right, it's probably right. That's what we're going with it. And then you can also hit play, and you'll see it highlight the words while what you say. So I'm just going to hit play here. So see, you can follow. And you can leave your feedback if you like it, if it was good, it was meh, it was down, or it was just pure dog shit. Or here you can add like the correct translation that you're expecting it. If you send it, I can get to save that and maybe use that on the next training round. But that's the idea of this. And if you want to read up on it as well, there's how it works. I added how it works here as well if you want to get into the technical details. And then if you want to use those models as well, I've saved them on Hugging Face. Hugging Face is like GitHub, but for models. So you can download the models there and use your apps to build your apps on top of it too. And then there's the data sets that where I found the data sets to train this. If you want to kind of replicate what I did, you can come there and do that as well. And then of course those models on Hugging Face, like I mentioned, you can come here, you can find them. It's here on Hugging Face. You can download them and play around with them. There's also the source, the code that I used to train it is also on GitHub. So you can come to GitHub. Although this is private, I need to make it public. But this is a data set and some of the scripts that I use. You can just change the languages to different languages you want to train, and then it should be able to work. If you beat me to it, I think I'm going to train the other languages too eventually. And then this is just kind of takes you to my website. This is my personal website, TonyKipkemboi.com. If you want to kind of chat around there, that's pretty cool. But that completes this long talk. If anybody has any questions, this is a perfect time for you to ask it. And while I do that, let's go back to the image that we were generating earlier. All right, Ronald, there he is. There's the man. I think Arsenal is going to win, by the way, but let's see. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'm a Manchester United fan, but I'd rather see Arsenal win than Man City. Although I don't like Arsenal either. So two bad options.
On that, I'm kind of against it. Man City should just win for there to be peace.
Nah, they've won too much. Time to give it to people that haven't won in 20 years. Jeez.
Huh.
All right, any questions?
So I had some questions with me.
Mhm.
So the first one that I can start with is concerning your journey into AI and into AI, that is in particular. Like, how did it start?
Yeah, I self-taught for the most part. I self-taught myself how to program. Like I mentioned, I worked at the U.S. Army Research Institute of Infectious Diseases. It's a mouthful. USAMRID in short. And when I was there, I worked in aerobiology, and afterwards I worked in genomics. And aerobiology, most of what we did there was mostly kuna hii animals tunatumia for ukiskianga lab rat or whatever, tunatumia for research, right? To test vaccines if it works on the animals. So basically what I would do there, a typical day would be, we take the animal from veterinary medicine folks. They they knock it out or they knock it down, basically they give it anesthesia. And then they would send it to us to expose the animal to a disease. For example, if it's Ebola, if it's hemorrhagic fever. So they put it down, they give it to us. Most of my job there was to measure the respiratory capacity of the animal, how much is breathing in, how much is breathing out. And then we put it in this chamber machine, and it was BSL-4, so it's very high containment environments. And then we would then introduce this sample we call aliquot of maybe Ebola, for example, but it would be like in spray form. So you would spray it, it would look like a spray, so you spray, but it's like very tiny particles. To measure the radius of the orifice, that measure the spread of the agent. So that way we can accurately say to release these many milligrams of this agent, and this is how much this animal inhaled, because we know the respiratory capacity, and then we can measure that quantitatively, because everything in research has to be super accurate. And then we would go monitor that animal to a release a cage, and then there's cameras. It monitors the animal for maybe the next 2 weeks, like the disease stage, like it's healthy for the first 2 days, and then when does it start showing symptoms? When does it start getting sick? When does it start coughing? When does it start scratching itself? All the way until it dies, essentially. So it's a very brutal. You don't want to work there if you're very sympathetic to these things. And then when the animal dies, they take it to pathology. This pathologist, when they postmortem, which organs were affected. And then on the next version of the animals, we either increase the dosage or decrease the dosage. And then for some of them, it can be a point where we figured out this is the most lethal dose, and it applies to humans. And then we start introducing the vaccine slowly. We infect the animal, but maybe at week 2, when it starts showing the symptoms, when it's almost like getting really bad, we introduce the vaccine, and we have measures of how much vaccine it helps it kind of recover. And then at what point does vaccine just doesn't work regardless. And then we come to the point where we're like, okay, we've gotten to a point where we think this is close enough that we can replicate this exact same thing with humans. That's when you file for the FDA clinical trials, and humans that are suffering from specific diseases, or if somebody gets Ebola, we go inject them with that, and we test it, for example. And then we're like, okay, hey, it works. Now we put it to the market, and people buy it. Companies and doctors. That's how a simplified process of how the chemical or the medical trials end up going. But most of the time, 95% of medicines that are in the pipeline, most of these companies fail because they just don't pass the clearance phase. So there's a lot of orphan drugs always in the market. But beyond that, going back to your question, after that I went to genomics. Genomics, my job will go mostly on the wet lab side. So I was sequencing most of the DNA. And for most of these pathogens, I'll sequence the DNA. So, for example, come Ebola or COVID, when COVID broke out, we were doing sequences. So there was sequencing of DNA. Going, okay, did this mutate? Is this different from this? Because on a scale like Wuhan, and then there's another variant from South Africa. There's this variant from here. Like we were just basically trying to figure out, is this the same one over time? And then usually there was this bioinformaticians. Their job was to come take the data that to Mefanya on the wet lab side from the machines. And they would use a thumb drive, they would put it in, they would take it to their desk, and they got quite curious. They were just like, what do you guys do with this data back there? So we get it now, and then they started showing me how to saw like Python code on the screen. And so they were doing some analysis on this DNA data to provide slides and create presentations that they would go present sometimes to the president and all that for actions on what to do next. And I was like, okay, I want to learn how to do that. So I took a book, started self-teaching myself. When I was at work, I'd just be reading the book. It was like Python for Dummies or something like that. And then I signed up on Code Academy, and I used to do this at night. When I go home, I go spend some time just kind of going through the course. I think I ran through the course in the Python Intro to Python. I ran through the course in like a week. I just went through it real quickly. And then I started building stuff immediately. I was just like, I'm just going to build stuff that helps me. For example, I was interested in space at that time. And I was like, okay, I like the International Space Station. Well, come to find out, when I was digging around, there's an API that can tell you where the space station is at any given time. It's actually an endpoint you can hit directly. And then it tells you where it is at, the coordinates of where it's at any given time. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to buy a really good telescope that I'm going to use to watch the space station pass around my home, right? But then I was like, how will I know that it's up above me at any given time? So I was like, okay, let me write a script that will ping that API, and I've already given my coordinates of where my house is located, and it would try to compare how far every 5 seconds it pings the space station and tells me, hey, where are you? And then it starts to map up to my coordinates and see how close it is. And then 30 minutes before it's like overhead or close to my visible range from my telescope, it would send me a message on WhatsApp and say, hey, it's 5 minutes away. It's 10 minutes away. It's 30 minutes away. And it's going to be in the northwest direction or something like that. And then I would just go outside when it gets to that time, point my telescope, and I would see it. And so that was the idea. And I ended up building that. And that helped me a lot in terms of just kind of learning and hooked me in. So you have to learn the stuff first, the syntax, But then you just have to find, I think the quickest way to learn that I would say, find a use case that is for you that you love and build something with it using that tool to solve that problem for you. And then that will kind of unlock everything for you. You just become curious, you could become addicted and you don't stop. And then that led to me going to school, dropping out, and then going to work in these companies. And when you go to work at these companies, you solve their problems, right? And you end up learning in that way. And then in 2024, 2023, actually, I started like talking with a lot of people in San Francisco, Silicon Valley. I used to go there for like workshops and running workshops and doing talks. And I met with a lot of people there, and I kind of saw like AI was kind of the place things were moving. And this was early. Most people were not talking about agents. And that's when I made my move to join Crew AI, which was one, if not, I think it was the first AI agent company that offered a agentic platform to enterprises back in 24, which is crazy to think about right now. But I joined them very early. I think I was employee number 8. But we didn't have a product. We only had an open source package. It was only a GitHub account with like 1,000 stars. But my job there was to grow the amount of developers that were using the product and also show them how to build with the product. And if you go to the channel, you probably see my videos on there too. But I did a lot of that, which is developer advocacy, developer relations engineering, going to talks, talking at conferences and things like that. And then that's just how I joined and started building stuff in AI. So it's just curiosity and building really for me. For example, this Change thing I do, in the process I'm learning, but I'm building and solving a specific problem. You pick a problem, you try to find all the tools that will solve that problem. Don't start with the tool and then go to the problem. Start with the problem and then find the right tool to solve the problem.
Okay. That's actually an incredible journey. Yeah. Initially, when you were talking about the biological terms, okay, personally I was floating. I'm sure I was not alone though. Okay. The second one is okay, in AI, of course, there are a lot of disciplines that we actually have. It's actually a very broad field. If you say you are learning about AI, somebody will be like, what are you learning in AI? So there are a lot of disciplines, for example, machine learning, NLP, computer vision. So like, which one should students focus on first and why? So like students who wants to dive into like the world of AI, basically in terms of their career. So where should they focus on first?
Yeah, I think the line is blurred right now. There's those fields, but I think with the current state where we are in, all those are like one now. For example, I showed you how to generate the image model. That is vision. That's vision models. So if you want to go to vision, learn how to create models that can generate images. You have to learn computer vision in your classes, right? But I think the wrong thing is trying to focus on, oh, I'm just going to be a vision engineer. No, that is not the best way to go right now. Especially the bar has dropped so much that you can learn so many different things real quickly. I think the idea here is start with thinking, okay, what is the problem set that I would want to solve? What things interest me? I like large language models in general. And the other thing too is like all these places you pick, for example, all these LLMs that we've seen here, you basically have to learn everything underneath it. So machine learning cuts across all of them, be it vision, be it all the other stuff. It's all machine learning. You have to teach the machine to learn the thing. So either ways, you're gonna have to learn it if you want to learn it. But this only applies if you want to go do research. If you want to be a research engineer, that is more in depth, and they mostly hire PhDs and people that have kind of done deep on those. Or you have like very reputable things that you build and put out there. The one thing that I would say is lacking right now a lot is just a pure understanding of how you use large language models. Things are getting abstracted so much. So, for example, do you know how to call an API and let it do something and stitch things together to build something useful? I'd even think don't optimize your life to be employed by somebody else. I mean, it's great to place to start, and employment is not wrong. And I'm not saying employment is wrong. Employment is very important because you get to learn how others are running their businesses. Basically, you're getting paid to learn how to run a business correctly. But the thing is, when you're working there, usifanye tu kazi with your mind just kind of like imeekelewa in like nakaa ng'ombe iko kwa like kwa mananda, it's just getting pushed through, right? You're not looking outside, oh, what's going on? Like you're just going. Graduate, maingizo tu kwa hiyo mananda, you're just going. That's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is finish college, yes, or whatever, get to start working, work for somebody. But when you're working, act like somebody when you may have access to something that you didn't have, you're not supposed to, and just all you need to think about is, why am I running? Why am I doing this way in this company? How is this affecting the bottom line for the company? And by bottom line, I mean, how is this affecting the revenue for the company? How do we make? You need to understand how does this company make money, and what role do I play in making this company make more money? I hope you understand that piece. I'm going to repeat it again. When you work for any company or anybody, think of it as, what skills am I bringing to this company that is helping the company make money? And if you figure that out, that is your key thing. You can basically move and replicate our same business, but do it your way, because you know, okay, they're running this, we do this, this is inefficient, and go do that similar thing out there. It's easier said rather than done. But the more you do that in several companies, eventually you will accumulate. If you're going to want to go work for somebody else, great, you will have accumulated a lot of skills, and you know how to basically make the company money. Because at the end of the day, if you work at a company, there's two things. It's either your job is making the company money, or it's helping other people move faster and ends make more money for the company. But if you're not doing any of those things, you're just extra dead weight. It's just a matter of time before they cut you off, right? So you have to be indispensable. You have to have a way for you to be making the company money. And the more you understand how you make the company money, the more you're able to do your job better, first of all, but then learn a lot about the business, the inefficiencies, and either command more salary, more roles, more expansion of title, or go off and do your own thing when time is ready. So that's what I would highly advise. So indexing on like what to study, I think that's old right now. You should be thinking about solving problems, because everything with so much really, yeah, you'll learn about it, but can you implement them? And that's why places come over. I didn't finish my degree, but I'm employed doing stuff that if you know a few years down the road, people would have been like, no, you can't do that. But I can do it. And the thing with this industry right now is you just need to prove that you can do the thing, because they will find you in the interview, right? They'll make you do the hacker rank, they'll make you lead code, which I think is bullshit, but like it's a part of us. You still need to know the fundamentals to get into the industry. But then beyond that, the more valuable things is things that you build. So you see me, for example, building all these things. I just like building stuff and putting it. But the other thing too, build and put it out there. Build and post on LinkedIn, create a website, share with people, so people know what you do. And that's a way for you for marketing yourself. Because for your company, you're marketing your company sometimes. Oh, when I post on LinkedIn, hey, I work at this company and we're doing this, please buy our product. Why don't you do the same for yourself? You're an individual. Do marketing for you. Create content, put it out there. That content will do work for you when you're sleeping. And you want to invest in yourself, because right now you need to be posting on LinkedIn what you're learning, things you're experimenting with. Because me as an employer, I'm out there sitting and looking, oh, I see this person posting this. Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. They like doing this. They like doing that. When the roles pop up, you're the first people, you're one of the first people that are like, oh, dude, I need somebody in Kenya that can do this. Oh, there's this guy that I saw him posting this and this, or there's this girl that I saw posting this and this and that, and I like what they're doing. Let me reach out to them. So if you can't put yourself out there, nobody's gonna know you're there. And that's where we're heading right now. So do stuff and then talk about the stuff that you did. So some people ask, well, how do I get invited to this like cool stuff, or how do I have access to? Somebody said it better. You need to do cool shit to be invited to the cool shit. So that's how it works. Do cool shit to be invited to the cool stuff that you want to go to. If you don't do cool stuff, nobody's gonna bother to invite you to anything. So do cool shit. That's what I would say. And it's as simple as building your own thing that helps you, and then post about it. That's all you need to do.
Okay. Thanks for that. That's powerful. So to my last question. So we've been having these debates. It has been there for a very long period, where people ask, like, AI, is it taking jobs? Blah blah blah. So looking ahead, how do you see AI shaping the future of jobs and opportunities for young people?
Yeah, it's definitely going to take some jobs. That's just a fact. But I think the other thing too we underestimate. I think it's not taking all the jobs right now. To be honest, if anything, so if you understand the process of how to do, and that's why I went back to what I said earlier. With if you work at a company, the more you figure out what you do and how you make money for the company and understand the process of what you do really well, you're almost irreplaceable, because if you also learn how to use AI to help you do those things that you do for the company to make money faster, then you become indispensable, because a lot of people would not want to learn how AI helps them do the job faster and do it much better quality and hence more money along the road. If you do that, then you're setting yourself up for a good place where you can be an employee or you can go start your own thing because you know how to use these tools very well and you understand the job very well. I think that's the only way to put it. It's not easy, but I think that's the way I would put it as. Just learn the thing, implement the thing, and keep tabs with what's changing in the world. I'd say X is a great place to be if you want to stay up to date with what's cutting edge. A lot of engineers, we flock there, we share the new things that are happening, what we're learning, and then it goes back to you need to post, create content, do stuff, create content about it, put it out there. It could be as simple as you just sharing your screen, you don't have to talk, just share it out there, put something out there. If you come on, talk about great content, I don't know what you think it, dude, because nobody out there, nobody cares. People watch and scroll. Might as well just create the content. You come over scared, oh, what people think about you. Nobody will think anything about you. People don't care. Just create the content and put it out there. I swear, record something stupid and put it out there. Nobody will tell you anything. People will just watch and go. That's just the world we live in. So what's stopping you? You already have a lot of projects that you've created. Post about it. Put it on GitHub. Provide the link. Send people there. That's all I would say. Put yourself out there more. That's the biggest message.
Okay. Actually, thanks. That's the end of my questions. The questions that I had. So we are coming to the end of our webinar session for today, and I would like anyone who has a question for the speaker or any comment, you can give a feedback of how the session has been. Yeah, I hope that's okay.
I think Dennis had a question. Let me answer him. I think he had 3 questions. Apart from Gemini image generation, how does it compare to Claude and ChatGPT and other capabilities, considering it's cheaper and broader? Yeah, it's pretty much the same, really. The only thing I say with Gemini, their models might be a little bit weaker. For example, if you look at coding, Anthropic is really great at that compared to other models. GPT 5.5 is pretty much almost close to par with Opus right now, Opus 4.7. So there's little marginal differences. Gemini is also great, but it's not great at coding. If you want to do everything else other than coding, I would say go for Gemini, and it can generate images very well too. So I think it's a matter of trying and finding what works best for you. That's what I would say. And then the second question is, can you elaborate more on Claude skills? Yeah, Claude skills, it started off as Claude skills, but they open sourced it. Now it's called agent skills. So you can use agent skills with any provider. So Gemini, OpenAI, Claude itself. So like I mentioned, Claude skills are basically a recipe of how to do something. For example, I think I used the example of a cake. Come on, type a cake, there's a recipe about what ingredients you need, how to cook it, and then the steps of cooking it, right? So think of maybe you write emails every day and then you filter out how many emails from professors or emails from vendors. You have to qualify them and then send them a response back, but it has to meet these different criteria. You can, if it's something that you know, like this is how we do it every day. This is the SOP of how we do this thing. This is the procedures of doing a specific thing, and it's very procedural, and it's written down. You can write it down and give it to the agent and tell it, I want you to remember that this is the steps of how to do this. And basically, it will use that skill. Every time you need to do that thing, it will invoke that skill. But then it basically, I don't know, come on, watch Matrix, the movie Matrix. When Neo goes into that container, and then an Aqua plugged into the back with the machine, and then he didn't know karate, but because the next mission requires them to know how to fight, they plugged him in and they loaded all the karate videos, movies, and everything into his brain. And then when they unplugged it, he was able to go out there and he was really good at karate, right? So same thing with this. The models are like Neo before they got plugged in. So they just know stuff, but they might not be really good at specific thing. So now you want it now to be really good at writing emails or generating something very well that you do in your job. You then have to just plug in the skills. So skills in the company, you're plugging in a check and then feed it all the information that it needs to learn how to do, and then it does the thing very well. So that's the idea on that. Hopefully that helps. And then the last one is, does Chamgay.com support other local languages? Not at the moment. I started with Kalenjin because I understand it, and I can basically look at what the agent is or the model is outputting and say, okay, this is wrong, this is right. Since I don't speak the other languages, it's hard for me to grade that. But I'm in touch with a few folks here in the US, I believe, and some in Kenya. There were some folks that are interested in me doing one for Luo, but they understand Luo, so they'll be the ones to grade it. I would generate some outputs and I would give them to try and say, okay, this looks good, this doesn't look great. So it's a matter of QA and QC piece. But I'm thinking of adding some more. I think the ones online that I'm thinking about is Luo and then Masai, and then there's Kamba, there's Kikuyu. There's so many of them. So the limitation right now is just quality of the data is not so great. So it's really hard to get good outputs if the data is not great as well. But that's just kind of in the roadmap at the moment. Great. Any other questions?
Anyone, or just a comment of how the session has been? Yeah, we actually value your feedback, and it will help us to know what to talk about in our upcoming sessions. Yeah, because we'll be continuing with this series as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I see Ronald has a question. He has a question on data privacy. How do you recommend balancing the use of AI tools with corporate security? What best practices should we follow to ensure we don't accidentally share sensitive or proprietary company information with these widely used models? Yeah, that is the current challenge, right? I would say if you work at a company, if the company does not have a contract, they haven't bought the license from maybe Claude or OpenAI or Gemini, if they haven't bought the license and allowed you to use it, do not use it. Do not load company data into your own personal ChatGPT, or because you are going around the company taking their data and putting it into a model that you don't have access to. You haven't set the rules in your own ChatGPT to say don't store my data. And even if you set it off, how do you know they're not training on it? If the company that you work for already has an agreement with these big labs and they allow their employees to use these AI tools, that means there's a clause in there that both lawyers from both companies have agreed. You're not going to train on our data and you're not going to save our data. So if anything in future comes up that they ended up saving the data for the company can do that, handle that legally by suing each other, right? So you want them to deal with that way. So do not load any company data into your own personal ChatGPT or anything like that. That's what I would say. That's the best way to stay safe. And then the last one, I think from McCreen, how can we find you on social? Yes. So I would say go to tonykipkemboi.com. You'll be able to find me there as well. That is the main door to everything about me. But I'm going to share my LinkedIn here. I'm more active on LinkedIn and X. So if you are on both platforms, this is where to find me. I have added my LinkedIn in the chat. Let me find my... Christopher, you have a question. Come on, dude. What's up?
So I wanted to ask regarding Claude, the automation part. Are you the one who prompted those instructions, or was it AI generated, or how did you in Claude?
What for the images in Claude, or
for example, the screenshot cleanup? Are you the one who wrote those instructions, or were they AI prompted?
Oh, are you talking about the slides?
No, not the slides. When you were showing us Claude, how to use Claude.
Yeah.
There's this part where you had instructions. For example, screenshot cleanup, where you clean up screenshot.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Yep. Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. So let me go back to Claude. Not Claude design. Cool. So yeah, for the cleanup, those are skills. Yeah, I wrote those things. So I think you're talking about the skills. So skills is just a file with instructions, and these are the instructions I gave it. It's the file is supposed to be .skills file, but you have to load it with like this YAML front matter, and YAML just means yet another markdown file. So this is all markdown. It's all written in Markdown. So you see this hash, this means it's going to be a level 2 title. And then there's this ellipsis here, just meaning this is going to be the top portion of the instructions. So the agent reads this first before using it. So it reads this to figure out, okay, is this the screenshot cleanup? Does this describe what the user wants me to do? And then if it's like, okay, this is correct, then it goes and reads the rest of this and then implements it. So, but you have to write all this for the agent. The other thing you can do as well is you can tell it to create a skill for you. So you can say, create a skill for me that checks the weather. So Frederick MD every morning at 9 a.m. For example. So you can tell it to create a skill for you. It knows what it is, so it will create a skill for you if you describe it very well. So it'll go ahead and create a skill for you, and you just save it at the end of it. So skill me on a recipe, so that's all it is. Hopefully that helps.
One more question. Regarding the skills, I've prompted my AI to write me a specific skill. Now, there's that trigger part I've seen on your screen, on the skill part, where there's a trigger.
To trigger to run, yeah.
So does that trigger work even if I'm not in Claude? For example, I exit Claude, then I put that trigger. For example, that slash alternative. Will it still work? Will that prompt still work? That skill, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, not right now, but let me present something else here for you so you can see it. All right, so hopefully you see my screen. So this is Claude desktop. So if you download the desktop version, then you have access to that. But if you use it on the web, you won't. Oh, where did it go? Oh, come on! Oh, it's restarting. So if you use Claude on the web, you won't have access to that. But if you use Claude on desktop, like they have the app, desktop app, then you have access to use that. Because the difference with this now, with the desktop version of Claude, you have this thing called like you have the regular chat. See here, there's just a regular chat like the one it looks like on the web, and then you have the co-work, and then you have code. So I think the biggest one you're probably going to be using a lot is the co-work. So co-work here, the good thing with it is it has access to your local system. So it has access to your local files. It has access to, for example, downloads folder, desktop folder. So that's why it's able to do things like that. And it can use cron jobs to schedule itself to wake up at a certain time and then go clean up the desktop because it has access to your desktop now. So this is the cool thing. And here's where you can come here on the desktop. There's scheduled. So if you come here to scheduled, you will see the task that you've scheduled. So here's where you would come in and schedule a new task. So if you have a new task, you would come here to set up manually a scheduled task. You can kind of write right here the scheduled task that you wanted to do. Or if you've created a skill as well, you can just kind of bring that skill, or you can create a new one with Claude. You can tell it, hey, I want you to schedule a task. So for example, this, if you come here, you can just tell it, yeah, I want to schedule a scheduled task. Please explain how scheduled tasks work in cowork. Then ask me a few questions to figure out how what I'd like Claude to do and what it should run. So things like that. And then you will up your schedule and it'll run on schedule for you. So hopefully that's helpful. And then the other thing here as well is there's this dispatch, which means you can just dispatch once you turn it on. You can, if you have the mobile version of Claude on your phone, if you're out of your desk, you can continue talking with the Claude on your desktop from your phone, even if you're traveling somewhere. And you can tell it to do stuff like, for example, go to my folder, grab this, go search the web, find this, download it here, send it an email. Like, you can work without being on your desktop. The only important thing, even with schedule stuff, you need to have your laptop open. So you can have it in clamshell mode because it's going to be off and it's depending on your laptop being awake for it to actually go in and do stuff. So the screen can be black, but so long as it's open and the computer is on, it can still do the job in the background. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, cool. I think I got to jump in a few minutes here. I got another meeting coming up, but this was awesome. We should do this next time. But if you have any questions, let me share my links in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me. Happy to always chat.
Yeah, sure. Actually, I had sent some links in the chat box. We had the LinkedIn handle for Tony, for the club as well, for LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok as well, and the YouTube account for our speaker, that is Tony. He's been doing some things on YouTube, so you can go check it out. When you just search Tony Kipkemboi, you'll just see his face there, and that's the thing. For LinkedIn, if you don't have an account, kindly create, follow our club official page as well. Follow Tony Kipkemboi as well, that who is our speaker for the day. So I believe that's that, and I would like just one person to share what they've gained from the session and what they expect next time. Before we wind up, anyone who is willing to unmute, kindly, let's be first. Anyone? Okay, so I can give let me just give somebody just a random person. Hey Dennis, can you hear me? Dennis Njagi.
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. So far, I've learned at least something I didn't know actually about, especially about cloud, generally about the AI platforms that have been mentioned, how to go about them, the prompting. It was fun and it was quite engaging. So thank you for this chance, and also thank you to Tony for insightful and giving us the time. Thank you, Benedict, also for the platform. We are learning a lot, and we hope in the future to continue learning more and more. And these hands-on skills definitely will they help us beyond the school and even beyond our careers to our daily life, developing developers, aspects, and all that. So we'll just be using AI casually, but we'll be great innovators and developers in future. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's nice. What do you expect next time?
So maybe my expectations, maybe mostly it's the way we've done today, hands-on, when we can be able to do it for a longer period, probably physically or practically it can also be better. But even online, it's working still very okay. And the way we are doing and the things while tunafanya and the demonstration are clear and the availability. So it's okay, very okay.
Okay. Thanks for your feedback, and I would like to really thank you, Tony, our speaker for the day. Thank you for creating time for this, and we'll have obviously some more sessions with you. I truly appreciate. We'll just discuss that and agree on the dates. Thank you.
Yep, thank you all again.
So have a nice evening, everyone. For Tony, I believe it's morning in a way. I hope I'm not wrong about that. So have a nice
afternoon.
Oh, it's afternoon. Oh, okay. So before I end, I can see Ronald raised his hand. Did you have something to share? Ronald Kemboi?
Oh, probably ilikuwa by mistake, sorry.
Okay, no problem. I hope if you're not in we have our WhatsApp group for the club. If you are not there, you can just reach out to me, then I'll help you in that. So thanks all. Have a nice time, and we'll meet in our next session. I'll just communicate it. Thank you all. Bye bye.